Regardless of how you may feel about the movie, there is no denying that a Minecraft movie will be one of the biggest movies of the year, just like that. After suffering through development hell for over a decade, initially starting production in 2014, we now have a movie based on Minecraft, the best-selling video game of all time. And it's coming out during a time when video game adaptations are finally becoming good, or at least significantly better than they were back then. You have the Sonic trilogy, which, despite having a rough start with this thing, managed to become massively successful, with Sonic 3 in particular arguably being the best video game movie that we have ever gotten and likely ever will get. And then you also have 2023's Mario movie, which admittedly is not on the same level quality-wise. I am well aware there are a lot of people that don't like the movie all that much, and yeah, I'll admit this movie could have turned out a lot better, but it ultimately ended up being a massive success with casual audiences and moviegoers. Families love the movie, and a lot of Mario fans, I want to imagine, love the movie as well. There are people that think the movie could have turned out better, and there probably are people that think the movie is straight up bad. But generally, the Mario movie is a well-liked movie. So you would think that Minecraft would join this club of modern-day video game movies that don't suck. After all, this is based on the best-selling video game of all time. This is a game that tons of people grew up with. This is a game that people have spent hours upon hours playing. There are so many people out there that have so much nostalgia for this game. And over 15 years after it first came out in 2009, it is still being played by millions and millions of people all around the world. Surely they would do this game justice with this movie, right? Right? Oh, for f***'s sake. We can't have nice things in this day and age, can we? I will not deny that 2025 will end with a Minecraft movie being one of its most successful movies. It made $950 million, almost $1 billion at the box office after all. Apparently they're already starting early work on a sequel for this movie, which, I mean, I'm not surprised. A movie that made a lot of money is getting a sequel. Wow, what a shocker. But I can't help but feel extra disappointed at the fact that this movie is getting a sequel, even though I knew it was practically inevitable, for reasons that I will go over later on in this video. I will not deny that there's no universe out there where a Minecraft movie ends up bombing at the box office. I wish the movie was unironically great, emphasis on unironically, but regardless of how the movie turns out, it would have still made a lot of money because it's Minecraft. This movie could end up being a Borderlands level disaster. It would still make a lot of money because it's Minecraft. It's just as simple as that. I will not deny any of this, and yet I cannot in good faith call this an unironically good movie. I'm sure most of you know the story by now. The first trailer for this movie came out back in September of 2024. Jesus Christ, that was almost a year ago already. What the f***, man? And almost immediately this trailer would be widely mocked and ridiculed all over the internet. The main criticisms being the very ugly, unappealing, uncanny look of the Minecraft world. The movie tries to recreate the iconic blocky art style that the game has, but they also try to make it look realistic, and it ends up just looking really off-putting. Combine that with the generic been there done that story that the movie seemingly had from this trailer, where you have all of these characters from the real world going into the fake Minecraft world. A very unoriginal derivative story that we have seen in tons of different movies before, namely the newer Jumanji movies, which coincidentally enough both have Jack Black in them as well. And speaking of Jack Black, you of course have the very questionable decision to cast him as Minecraft Steve himself. And even though we don't really see much of Steve in the trailer, it's very obvious watching it that this is just gonna be Jack Black playing Jack Black. There's nothing to make this character feel like Steve besides the fact that he's wearing a blue shirt. Now, to play devil's advocate here, Steve in the game doesn't exactly have much of a character. The whole point of Steve in Minecraft is that he's meant to be the generic blank slate default character that you play as in the game. He doesn't have much of a personality. He doesn't have much of a character. He doesn't have anything like that at all. But even with all of that in mind, I do think the movie could have done a better job of making this character feel like Steve instead of just Jack Black being Jack Black, except he's wearing a blue shirt now and that makes him Steve. A lot of people were not looking forward to this movie. This trailer ended up getting 1 million dislikes, which is insane to think. Audiences were not looking forward to this movie at all, and even with the subsequent trailers for this movie being more positively received, nobody thought that the movie would be good unironically. On the other hand, though, there were a lot of people that thought the movie would be good ironically, and I was among those people. I made a video going over the first trailer for this movie, and I brought up the possibility that the movie could end up being funny bad. Maybe it could end up being ironically enjoyable. There was no chance at all in the current state that the movie was in that it could be unironically genuinely good, and it had a strong chance of being a really terrible movie unironically, but it also looked like it would at least be fun bad. A movie that is not good, but at least you can enjoy it. At least you could have fun watching it. And so, throughout early 2025, as we got closer and closer and closer to the release of this movie, it seemed more and more likely that this movie would be funny bad. This movie would be ironically good. And then the critics' reception for the movie came out. And to our surprise, the movie's critical reception wasn't terrible. I mean, obviously, it could have been a lot better, but it also could have been a lot worse. I'm sure there were many people, including myself, that expected the critical reception for this thing to be on par with like Borderlands from last year, which, coincidentally enough, also had Jack Black in it. The critical reception for this movie not being completely awful while also not being very good either made me wonder, how would this movie turn out? I became even more curious as to how this movie would turn out. And then you combine that with another aspect surrounding the movie. The closer we got to the movie's release, the more excited people got for the movie. Except the excitement was completely 100% ironic. People began making memes relating to certain Minecraft-related things that Jack Black would say throughout the trailers for the movie. Flint and steel, the nether, this is a crafting table, an ender pearl, and of course, how could I forget, chicken jockey. I don't know where the hell all of this started. I guess just the idea of Jack Black saying random Minecraft things is funny, and I mean, I guess it is a little bit funny, to be honest. It is admittedly funny watching Jack Black say flint and steel. I don't know why, it just is. This obviously doesn't save the movie, but, you know, it prevents it from being any more painful. And then the big day would finally arrive, April 4th, 2025. The movie would finally be released to theaters. And I had the privilege, maybe, I guess you could say, I'm not sure, to watch this movie a day earlier on April 3rd. Now, this might come off as a bit of a surprise to some of y'all, given the reputation that this movie's theatrical run would garner soon after its release, but when I saw this movie opening day, or the day before opening day, it was mostly quiet. It was normal. I don't remember how many people were in the auditorium. Maybe there was like a few people and that was it. I don't think it was packed. I don't think it was like crowded or anything like that. But generally, my theater viewing experience watching a Minecraft movie for the first time, yes, for the first time, I watched this thing more than once in theaters. My first time watching this in theaters was a relatively pleasant theatrical experience, and I want to imagine most of y'all didn't have that privilege when y'all watched this in theaters. As I mentioned before, people would begin to meme all of the different Minecraft related things that Jack Black would say throughout the movie, and so it didn't take very long before people began taking things to the next level, actively cheering and shouting out all of the stupid things that Jack Black would say throughout the movie. The most infamous of these being Chicken Jockey. Now at first, it was all relatively simple. It was just, oh, they yell out Chicken Jockey and that's it, and then maybe they start clapping like, you know, like they're watching an MCU movie, they're watching Avengers, something like that. And then it starts escalating real quickly. Before you know it, you have people bringing in real live chickens into like different screenings for the movie during the Chicken Jockey scene. You have people throwing food all over the theater and just making all kinds of messes throughout the theater. And I cannot imagine what it must have been like to be a theater employee during that time, and having to clean up all of these messes. The day this movie finally left theaters must have been the best day ever for movie theater employees all around the world. And then as if that wasn't enough, there was a period of time where Warner Bros. Decided to jump in onto the trend, releasing a special block party edition of the movie. Now, for better or worse, most likely for better, I don't know why the hell I said for better or worse, I did not attend one of these special screenings of the movie. However, I want to imagine there are no differences between the regular version of the movie and this block party version. The only difference is that this version encourages audiences to, you know, do stupid shit in theaters more than the regular version, as if audiences weren't already doing stupid shit in the theaters for this movie. And all it did was just further fuel the movie's bad reputation. Now, I don't want to come off as a party pooper or anything like that. I don't want to be like, oh, people are having fun and that's a bad thing. How dare they have fun with a movie? Just simply yelling out Chicken Jockey in unison when the scene comes on is like, that's fine, you know, that's fun to do. But then like actively throwing popcorn and sodas and all that other crap all over the theater, it's like, yeah, that's too far. Not to mention the sheer awkwardness of watching this movie all alone in the comforts of your home. Like, yeah, there's probably like families that watch this movie together, but I want to imagine being like all alone, living all alone by yourself. You pop in the movie and it's like you get to the Chicken Jockey scene and it's like, that's it. You're the only person in the room that's watching the Chicken Jockey scene at that very moment. And just like that, all of a sudden it becomes extremely awkward. And are you really gonna throw popcorn all over your house? Is that really what you want to do on your Saturday afternoon? Is that really what you want to do with your life at that moment? Now, as I mentioned before, this will undeniably be one of the biggest movies of 2025. It made $950 million at the box office. It came incredibly close to reaching $1 billion. This is despite the fact that the movie itself is not very good. I mean, of course, there are a lot of different reasons as to why this movie still made a lot of money, even though it wasn't very good. Number one, it's Minecraft. It's the best-selling game of all time. It doesn't matter how bad this movie could have been, it still would have made a lot of money. This movie could have been on the same level of quality as Borderlands, and it would still make a lot of money just because it's Minecraft. They would have to really, really, really up big time with this movie in order for it to be possible for a movie based on Minecraft to bomb at the box office. And not to mention all of the memes surrounding people going crazy and wild in the theaters whenever like a meme scene would come on, whenever Steve would say, "I am Steve," or chicken jockey, or anything like that, definitely added to the success of this movie commercially. It's like with Morbius from a few years ago, except this time the memes actually helped make the movie successful. Unlike with Morbius, if Warner Bros. Ever decided to re-release this movie, I guarantee you, it would still make money. And there is a chance the movie could make it into the $1 billion club after all. At the same time though, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are over the whole chicken jockey, I am Steve bullcrap. I know I sure as hell am. Even if this hypothetical re-release ends up failing, it's not gonna matter. The movie still made $950 million at the box office. There are tons of great movies that have come out this year that will make less money than this movie, and that pisses me off to no end. But not as much as the fact that I was complicit in this movie making the money that it has made, even if it was just a little bit. As I mentioned before, I saw this movie twice in theaters. The first time was on opening day, well, okay, the day before opening day, and the second time was a few weeks later. I somehow managed to convince my family to watch the movie with me, and in contrast to the first showing that I attended, where everything was peaceful and quiet, this was before the chicken jockey memes really took off, this was after said memes took off. Now, on the one hand, there is a small part of me that looks back on this whole thing and I think, it was fun, I had a fun time. And then on the other hand, there's another part of me that thinks, oh god, why did I even bother? The following footage may disturb and offend some of y'all watching this. If you choose to unsubscribe from this channel, if you choose to stop watching this channel because of the following footage, I completely understand. Everyone commits sins at one point or another. Some sins are more unforgivable than others, and your mileage may vary as to how unforgivable this specific sin is. Yes, I took part in the chicken jockey bullcrap, with my family attending the movie alongside me, no less. I get embarrassed just thinking about it. Alright, so before I give this movie the review that it deserves to get, let's go over the positives of a Minecraft movie. Because if you can believe it, yes, there are a few good things about this movie. So the first positive thing that I will say about this movie is the Technoblade tribute that it has. Now, for a bit of context, there was a popular Minecraft YouTuber named Technoblade, and I've got to admit, I never watched his videos or anything like that, but I do know that he was a very popular, well-respected, beloved Minecraft YouTuber, and tragically, he would pass away in 2022 due to cancer, I believe. Many people in the Minecraft community mourned his loss, and so the movie decides to include a little tribute to him. There's a scene in the movie where you have Jack Black and all the other characters going through the village, and Jack Black is going on about all of the inhabitants that live in the village. He goes on about the villagers, he goes on about the iron golems, that sort of thing. And then there's a pig wearing a crown that appears on screen, which represents Technoblade. That was his icon. And one of the characters is like, oh, he must be the king of the village or something like that. And Jack Black says, no, he's not just a king, he's a legend. I most likely got that wrong, but, you know, I still think it's a very sweet thing for the movie to include a tribute to Technoblade. I think it is very sweet for the movie to include a tribute to a beloved Minecraft YouTuber who was sadly taken away from us at a young age. I can give the movie credit for that. The second positive thing that I will say about this movie is, even though Jack Black as Steve is a very questionable casting decision to say the least. And Jason Momoa's character doesn't really fit in for Minecraft. He's supposed to play this like washed up gamer who peaked back in the 80s. Not exactly the kind of character that one would expect from a movie based on Minecraft. But despite both of those things, I think Jack Black and Jason Momoa have a lot of great chemistry throughout the movie. It is admittedly fun watching these two characters together. They do have great chemistry. It almost makes me wish that this was a completely original movie that had nothing to do with Minecraft at all. It was just a completely original movie with Jack Black and Jason Momoa, because there is a lot of fun chemistry with these two together. The great chemistry that these two characters have help make this movie surprisingly more tolerable than one would expect, although it still doesn't save this movie, unfortunately. The third positive thing that I will say about this movie is, despite the very unappealing nature of the film's visuals, the film's art style, somehow this isn't the ugliest movie to come out of 2025. And the fourth and final positive that I will say about this movie is, as much as I hate to say it, this was a movie that came at the right place at the right time. Now, I'm sure most of you remember the first few months of 2025 were an absolute desert wasteland when it came to movies. It was an absolute dry spell for movies. I know that January and February are considered junk months for movies, but it was incredible to me how particularly dry they were this year in 2025. Within the first 3 months of the year, the only movie that came out that did anything at all at the box office, with the obvious exception of Nezha 2, we're focusing on Hollywood movies only here. The only one to perform at all would be Captain America: Brave New World. And even then, it performed below expectations. It didn't bomb or anything like that, but it did underperform. And then that's it. It's just this movie, and that's it. We fast forward to March. Mickey 17 would come out and it would bomb. Novocaine would come out and I don't know if it flopped or bombed. There's a difference between the two. The movie did have a very low budget, so I'm not sure which one it was. I don't know if it was a flop or a bomb, but it definitely performed below expectations. And then you have the Snow White remake, which, yeah, needs no introduction at all. It wouldn't be until April 4th, with the release of this movie, that finally we would have a big, successful movie this year. A movie that would help keep theaters afloat for 2025. Because within those first 3 months of the year, there was a lot of concern that, like, theaters were gonna be, like, dying because of how little successful movies there were. And then Minecraft over here came in to save the day, very similarly to another Warner Bros. Movie that I don't like very much, Barbie. While the 2023 strikes were going on in Hollywood, Barbie, alongside Oppenheimer, helped keep theaters afloat during that time. And 2 years later, Minecraft would do something very similar all on its own. Of course, though, there were no strikes or anything like that were going on. The main issue was that the first 3 months of the year were unusually very dry when it came to movies. Some of the movies that would come out would just straight up underperform, if not bomb. And it wouldn't be until this movie that we would get a successful movie in the year. Again, not counting Nezha 2. So I have to acknowledge this movie as being a necessary evil, something that needed to happen, unfortunately. This movie would end up making a lot of money at the box office, as stated before, $950 million at the box office, almost making it into the $1 billion club. And for sure, it will stay up there among the top 5 highest grossing films of the year. The combination of, number 1, the movie being based on the best-selling video game of all time, number 2, the lack of competition within the family movie market until Lilo and Stitch, which would come out almost 2 months after the Minecraft movie, and number 3, the ironic memes surrounding the movie, prompting people to actually go and see the movie itself. Again, this is like Morbius, except the memes actually help the movie be successful. It practically meant that this movie would make a lot of money at the box office. And while I respect the fact that this movie helped keep movie theaters alive until we started getting more and more big, successful movies, I also wish that this didn't end up becoming one of the most successful movies of the year, because this movie is not very good. Obviously, yeah, this movie is good ironically, but I'm looking at this from an unironic perspective. There are tons of great movies that have come out this year in 2025 that will very likely make less money at the box office than Minecraft, and I hate that fact. I really do hate that fact. I know that Warner Bros. Sucks nowadays and whatever, but like, I hate the fact that this movie is going to be their big movie of the year instead of the infinitely superior Superman. In an ideal world, Superman would be the biggest Warner Bros. Movie of the year, but unfortunately, we don't live in that timeline. I'm glad this movie didn't make it into the $1 billion club, but I also hate the fact that it came this close to making it into the $1 billion club. And God forbid, if Warner Bros. Decides to re-release this thing, yeah, it's gonna make it into the $1 billion club just like that. Alright, with all of that said, allow me to go over the many problems with a Minecraft movie, and why I think this movie had the potential to be a genuinely great movie, but unfortunately, it ended up not being a great movie. And it doesn't matter how many funny, ironic memes come out of this movie, it's still bad. A bad movie is a bad movie. End of story. Let us go over the problems with this movie, shall we?